All right, let's jump right into a topic that is completely revolutionizing how we think about our health. We're talking about the powerful and, yeah, often mysterious connection between our gut and our brain.
I mean, think about that for a second. It's a pretty radical idea, isn't it? But a huge wave of new research is suggesting that the trillions of microbes, these tiny little guys living inside our digestive system, could actually hold a secret to understanding and maybe even treating conditions like depression.
And this isn't just some academic curiosity. Finding new ways to help is, well, it's urgent. The World Health Organization estimates that over 280 million people around the world are affected by depression. That's a staggering number, and it really drives home why the search for new, effective treatments is more important than ever.
So to really get our heads around how this all works, we need to talk about a concept that scientists are now calling the body's second brain. Let's unpack what this incredible communication network is all about.
Okay, so the official term is the microbiota gut-brain axis. Sounds a bit complicated, I know. But just think of it like a biological superhighway, or maybe a secret hotline that's constantly buzzing with messages between your brain and that massive community of microbes in your gut. And the most important part, it's a two-way street. Your brain is talking to your gut, and your gut is talking right back.
So how does this hotline actually function? Well, it's pretty wild. It all starts with the microbes in your gut. They act like tiny little chemical factories. And get this, they produce crucial stuff that affects your mood, like serotonin. In fact, they make over 90% of your body's entire supply of that feel-good chemical. These chemical messages then travel up to the brain using a major nerve pathway called the vagus nerve. And when your brain gets these signals, it can have a real, tangible impact on how you feel, how you think, and even how you sleep. It's the ultimate proof that what happens in your gut definitely does not stay in your gut.
Okay, so if this connection is really that powerful, it begs a huge question, right? Could we actually harness it to create new treatments? Well, let's zoom in on a fascinating and pretty radical case study that puts this whole theory to the test.
The therapy is called fecal microbiota transplantation, or FMT for short. Now, I know, it sounds a little strange, but hang with me because the scientific idea behind it is actually pretty elegant. It's basically like hitting a giant reset button on an unhealthy gut. You're introducing a balanced, thriving microbial community from a healthy donor to try and restore order.
And this isn't just some fringe idea from a single lab. A huge scientific review, a meta-analysis, just pulled together the results from 12 different clinical trials. We're talking over 680 people here, and they were all focused on answering one massive question. Does this therapy actually work for depression?
And the results? They were pretty striking. The group that got the real FMT saw a large, statistically significant drop in their depressive symptoms. It was an effect that was way, way bigger than any small improvements seen in the control groups who got a placebo.
But the details really matter. The researchers dug in and found that how the transplant was delivered made a big difference. If you look at this chart, you can see that taking it in a pill, an oral capsule, it worked. It was effective. But when they used more direct methods, like a colonoscopy that delivered the microbes right where they needed to be, the positive effect was even stronger.
But here's the million-dollar question. How long does this last? The study found that the benefits were really powerful in the short term, hitting their peak between 2 and 5 months. The catch is, after about 6 months, that positive effect started to fade and wasn't statistically significant anymore. So this tells us that the treatment works, but the next big puzzle is figuring out how to make those benefits stick around for good.
And we've got to be clear, the researchers are being very cautious here. They point out that there was a lot of variation between the different studies. Interestingly, the strongest results were actually in patients who also had irritable bowel syndrome or IBS. And because this is all so new, the overall certainty of the evidence is still officially rated as low. So the takeaway is, it's incredibly promising, but it's still very early days.
Now let's zoom back out for a minute, because the influence of this gut-brain axis isn't just about our mood. Nope. It extends to another critical part of our health that affects every single one of us: sleep.
And just like with mood, it's a two-way street. It can become a really vicious cycle. Getting poor sleep can directly harm your gut. It messes up its natural rhythm and can reduce the good bacteria. But it works the other way too. An unhealthy gut can totally sabotage your sleep by not making enough of the chemicals you need to rest, like serotonin and GABA, and by increasing inflammation all over your body. One makes the other worse, and around it goes. And this quote from the research really just sums it all up perfectly. By understanding this deep, two-way connection, we're unlocking entirely new ways to think about helping people sleep better. strategies that might have less to do with the pharmacy and a whole lot more to do with the health of our gut.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway? Where is this incredible new understanding of the gut actually leading us?
Well, what's happening is that we're basically building a whole new toolkit for health. For a long time, we only really talked about probiotics, just adding good bacteria, but now it's way more sophisticated. We've got prebiotics, which are like fertilizer for the good microbes you already have. We have the heavy-duty reset button, FMT, and now we're even learning to use postbiotics, the beneficial byproducts that the bacteria produce, as therapies themselves.
So if there's one single thing to take away from all of this, it's this. The gut isn't just about digestion anymore. This research is signaling a fundamental shift in medicine. We're moving away from treating symptoms in isolation and toward seeing the body as a deeply interconnected system, where the gut is a central starring player.
And that leaves us with one final, fascinating question to ponder. As we continue to unlock the secrets of this inner ecosystem, you've got to wonder, will the future of medicine be less about pharmacology and more about microbiology? It's an exciting time for sure, and it's clear we're just scratching